Hello, my name is BJ Paris. Welcome to Tapping into His Treasures. How is everybody? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. Get settled here. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, which is God's animals. And it's taken from Job 38 and 39. In the beginning, we're going to talk about Job's conversation with God, where he goes to God complaining and just pouring his heart out because he can't take the pressure anymore. And how many of us have been there? We just couldn't take any more pressure, so we just cry out to God. And God answers him in the whirlwind. And then toward the end of the chapter, he gets into the animals, and 39 deals with animals. And I'm telling you, I hope you'll pass some of these things on to your grandkids, because I didn't even know these chapters were here until I was a grown-up. And they excited me, so I think they would really excite children. And when I read them for the first time about these ugly, ugly animals on the earth, I was wondering why God would create something so ugly. And when I studied all about the divine design by God, and we'll get into that more, I started to appreciate the animals a lot more. So now I'm just loving the subject. So here we go. Excuse my arms on the table. So after Job goes before the Lord and he hollers out to him, the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now your loins like a man, and I will demand of you, and you declare it to me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Declare to me if you have and know understanding. Who determined the measures of the earth, if you know?" So God is really using some strong language with Job here. Or who stretched the measuring line upon it? Upon what were the foundations of it fastened? Or who laid its cornerstone? He's speaking of the earth. When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Or who shut up the sea with doors when it broke forth and issued out of the womb? When I made the clouds the garment of it, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and marked for it my appointed boundary. So you know how the sea goes to the seashore with all the sand and it won't go any farther? That's what God's describing here in 38:10. And marked for it my appointed boundary, and set bars and doors. And said, "Thus far shall you come and no farther." See, God spoke to the water, "Thus far you shall come and no farther," and the water had to obey. "And here shall your proud waves be stayed." There you are again. The waves couldn't go any farther than God allowed them to go. Starting again at verse 12. "Have you commanded the morning since your days began, and caused the dawn to know its place? So that light may get hold of the corners of the earth and shake the wickedness of night out of it? It is changed like clay, into which a seal is pressed, and things stand out like a many-colored garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, and their uplifted arm is broken. Have you explored the springs of the sea, or have you walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you, or have you seen the doors of deep darkness? Have you comprehended the breadth of the earth? Tell me if you know it all. Where is the way where light dwells? And as for darkness, where is its abode? That you may conduct it to its home, and may know the paths to its house. You must know, since you were born then, or because you are so extremely old. Oh, he's really given it to him. Have you entered the treasuries of the snow, or have you seen the treasuries of the hail? which I have reserved for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war. By what right? By what way is the light distributed or the east wind spread over the earth? Who has prepared a channel for the torrents of rain or a path for the thunderbolt? And that speaks of lightning. To cause it to rain on the uninhabited land and on the desert where no man lives? To satisfy the waste and desolate ground and to cause the tender grass to spring forth? Has the rain a father? Or who has begotten the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice and the hoary frost of heaven? Who has given it birth? The waters are congealed like stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Can you bind the chains of the clusters of stars called Pleiades, or loose the cords of the constellation Orion? Beautiful. Can you lead forth the signs of the zodiac in their season? Or can you guide the stars of the bear with her young? That the bear would be the constellation. Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you establish their rule upon the earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds so that an abundance of waters may cover you? Can you send lightnings that they may go and say to you, here we are? Who has put wisdom in the inward parts or in the dark clouds? Or who has given understanding to the mind or to the meteor? Who can number the clouds by wisdom? Or who can pour out the water bottles of the heavens? When heat has caused the dust to run into a mass and the clods to cleave fast together, can you, Job, hunt the prey for the lion? Or satisfy the appetite of the young lions? When they couch in their dens, or lie in wait in their hiding place? Who provides for the raven its prey when its young ones cry to God and wander about for the lack of food? That's the last verse in chapter 38. And we'll start now with chapter 39. Do you know the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth their young? Or do you observe when the hinds are giving birth? Do you attend all this, Job? Remember I said that yesterday, whenever the last show was, that we take God for granted. This is really what is hidden in this verse. You know, we see things and we just take them for granted without giving thought to the divine design in each critter. Can you number the months that they carry their offspring? In other words, how long the hinds, the deer, how many months they're pregnant? That's what he's asking Job. Can you number the months that they carry their offspring? Or do you know the time when they are delivered? When they bow themselves, bring forth their young ones, and cast out their pains? Their young ones become strong, and they grow up in the open field. They go forth and return not to them. Who has sent out the wild donkey, giving him his freedom? Or who has loosed the bands of the swift donkey by which his tame brother is bound? He, the shy, the swift-footed, and the untamable, whose home I have made the wilderness and the salt land his dwelling place. He scorns the tumult of the city and hears not the shoutings of the taskmaster. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and he searches after every green thing. Will the wild ox be willing to serve you or remain beside your manger? Can you bind the wild ox with a harness to the plow in the furrow? Or will he harrow the furrows for you? Will you trust him because his strength is great? Or to him will you leave your labor? Will you depend upon him to bring home your seed and gather the grain of your threshing floor? Who, Job, was the author of the strange variance in the disposition of animals, so alike in appearance? Was it you? The wings of the ostrich wave proudly, but are they the pinions and plumage of love? The ostrich leaves her eggs on the ground and warms them in the dust, forgetting that a foot may crush them or that the wild beast may trample them. She is hardened against her young ones as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain because she has no sense of danger for her unborn brood. For God has deprived her of wisdom, neither has he imparted to her understanding. Yet when she lifts herself up in flight, so swift is she, that she can laugh to scorn the horse and his rider. Have you given the horse his might? Have you clothed his neck with quivering and a shaking mane? Was it you, Job, who made him to leap like a locust? The majesty of his snorting nostrils is terrible. He paused in the valley. Pause, like a dog or cat would paw. He paws in the valley and exults in his strength. He goes out to meet the weapons of armed men. He mocks at fear and is not dismayed or terrified. Neither does he turn back in battle from the sword. The quiver rattles upon him as do the glittering spear and the lance of his rider. He seems in running to devour the ground with fierceness and rage. Neither can he stand still at the sound of the war trumpet. As often as the trumpet sounds, he says, "Ha ha," and he smells the battle from afar, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Is it by your wisdom, Job, that the hawk soars and stretches her wings toward the south as winter approaches? Does the eagle mount up at your command and make his nest on a high, inaccessible place? On the cliff he dwells and remains securely upon the point of the rock and the stronghold. From there he spies out the prey, and his eyes see it afar off. His young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is he. Oh, well, there's a lot more. Let's see. We may get back to the rest of that later, okay? But if we don't, make sure you go to 40 and 41 on your own, okay? Alrighty. So I wanted to interject here some things that I picked up from TV, because I watched the zoo and all those animal shows on TV, and it is so amazing. And well, let me read what I have, and then I'll interject some things as I read. Okay. After I discovered these chapters in the Bible, and that pointed me to some animal documentaries on YouTube years ago, and they were produced by a scientist who used to be an atheist and later became a Christian because of the things that he discovered in the animals, that he knew there had to be a divine design and a divine creator for each animal. So since then I've been watching all these animal shows on TV, and what gets to me is the most, and it will get to you too, is their instincts. And for instance, some migratory birds fly, listen to this, they fly for 88 hours to reach a certain destination to have their babies on the same day each year. How do you explain that? Why not 87 hours or 85 hours or 89 hours? It's always $88. I've got money on my mind. It's always 88 hours. And it's on the same day each year. And they go there to have their young. Isn't that amazing? And this morning, God gave me this verse. I knew it was in here someplace, and I didn't know where it was. And God gave me this verse this morning, kind of supernaturally. And it's in, wait a minute, I'm going the wrong way. It's in Jeremiah. Here it is. Wait a minute. Okay, here it is. We just spoke about the migratory birds flying 88 hours. It's right in the Bible. In Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 7. I'm reading it to you verbatim. Of course, this is an amplified Bible. Keep that in mind. Even the migratory birds are punctual to the seasons. Now, mind you, I wrote this before I got this, okay? Even the migratory birds are punctual to their seasons. What did I just read? They are punctual. To what seasons? To when they're going to give birth, in this case. Yes, the stork excelling in the great height of her flight in the heavens, knows her appointed times of migration. And the turtle dove, the swallow, and the crane observe the time of their return. Now he's comparing the birds and their instincts to people. Okay, here he goes. But my people do not know the law of the Lord, which the lower animals instinctively recognize insofar as it applies to them. Isn't that an amazing verse? He's comparing people to low animals and insinuating that the animals know more or smarter than people. Not all people, but the ones who do not recognize the Lord. The people who do not know the law of the Lord. So it's capital M here for my, so my people. So they're God's people. It's not necessarily the unsaved. All people, but not, in this verse, it's his people who do not know the law of the Lord. You know, like some people, when they receive Christ, that's as far as it goes. They make a decision and they don't go any farther learning the Bible or anything. This is, I believe, what that's pertaining to. So, let's see. All right, here's some more. The cicada bug, or however you want to pronounce it. The bugs come out every 17 years by the tens of millions, I would guess. I've seen them right in trees out in my yard, and every time I would go to the door to go inside the house, they would just fly to attack. I don't know if they hurt people or it's just like an instinct that they fly toward the people because of movement or whatever, getting out of the car. But anyway, is that amazing or what? Why don't they come every 14 years, or maybe 1 year come on the 16th year or the 18th or 19th year? But that's not what they do. It's every 17 years. So tell me that's not interesting. Okay. Sparrows, listen to this. Sparrows' feathers are connected to their brain, and that aids in their travels. You can hear my heater behind me, I'm sorry. It's so loud and the management still isn't dealing with it. It will go off in a couple of minutes. So that's to do with the sparrows. Listen to this one. Earthworms have no eyes. Do you know that? I didn't know that. Earthworms have no eyes, but they are sensitive to vibrations. If an earthworm loses its head, it has the ability to regrow its head. I just thought that was super amazing. Dogs sense when people are going to have a heart attack. And dogs have saved many lives because of sensing danger, like with fire or things like that. They have saved many lives. And there's, like on YouTube, there's a place, I think, what's the name of it? Something like Animal Miracles. And you should check that out sometime. And show those to the children. That's something awesome to show your kids. Horses help troubled kids out of their insecurities. Children who are maybe a little bipolar or insecure, when the parents take them to, or they have programs in the different cities and towns, to the horse farms, they let the children ride, and it just relaxes them totally, and they're different. Just dissolves any insecurities whatsoever. How about this one? Bears. Bears build extra fat to take them through their hibernation period. All instinct built right within each bear and each animal. Listen to this one. Hippopotamuses, have the ability to turn their glands on and off, which acclimate them to different temperatures. Wow. Can you see how God in his thoughts was planning for each animal over billions of years? And then when he had in his thoughts how he was going to design them, then he created them. Each and every one, big ones and small ones. Some sea creatures have tongues, listen to this, that are 150 feet long, and they are able to store food on those tongues for a long time. Okay, let's see. Okay. The fins on whales act as an air conditioner. Wow. Listen to this. Elephants' ears act as air conditioners. Oh, here's some more good stuff. Elephants walk on their tiptoes, which act as cushions when they... Cushions, period. I thought that was interesting. When they are in the water, something happens to their legs, and I've seen this before, to help them get out of the water. Something physically happens to their legs, otherwise they wouldn't be able, because they go down on their front legs, and then they use their trunk to splash water on them, and then they can't get up, they have trouble getting up, and right at that point, something happens physically to their legs, and they are able to stand on their front legs and get out of the water. Sometimes it takes you watch them fall over because they can't get their balance, but then eventually they get their balance while this thing is in process. Amazing. And this part a lot of people know. Animals pay homage to their dead. Not only to elephants, like in their elephant families and herds that have died years earlier, they do that. They will travel miles in a herd just to go to the place where their elephant family member died, to pay respects, even years after they died. And not only to the dead animals, but to human beings who have spent time with them in training and so forth. Even 5 years later, if that human being goes back to the country, into the jungle, they know that that person's there. They just know it in their minds, and they go in their herd to where the person is, and they have like a human-animal reunion. Amen? Okay. I want to read 3 verses. Oh, I wonder if I have time. I think I do. Genesis 1:24 and 25. And this is verbatim from the book of Genesis. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, creeping things, and wild beasts of the earth according to their kinds." And it was so. 25. And God made the wild beasts of the earth according to their kinds, and domestic animals according to their kinds, and everything that creeps upon the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good, fitting, pleasant, and he approved it. Amazing. And one more here. Psalm 50, verse 11. I know and am acquainted with all the birds of the mountain, and the wild animals of the field are mine, God speaking, and are with me in my mind. Write that down, Psalm 50, verse 11. Pass that on. That's amazing information. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Okay. Now I think we're going to have time to do the Lord's Prayer, which we didn't have time for the last time. Alrighty, pray with me. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Thanks for watching. God bless you and God bless yours. God keep you and God keep yours. Till next time, bye-bye for now.